Hey everybody. So we've got a shorter work for the loss run data analysis, and we're basically wrapping up the data analysis part, and then we'll get into the presentation of it. So this will be a short video. I'm just going to kind of show you what I've done so far, how to get there, and then what to do. But first, I'm going to actually have some content this week. It's been a while, right? I've got interviews with 3 different experts, and it's under the multimedia. One is with some people who work for the state of Wisconsin for Department of Administration, and they are the ones who collect all of the state work comp claims versus Department of Workforce Development does it for private industry. And then I've got 2 physical therapists who serve employers to try and reduce the chance of somebody having to incur something that's a work comp claim or an OSHA recordable, but more importantly, speeding them back to work. And so they're excellent, and one is in Wisconsin, one's in the Twin Cities. So just watch these 3 interview videos, and then there's some additional, if we can get back to it, there's some additional reading to do. For this week, I think I just have you review the videos, I believe. The readings, I think, are bonus, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it's going to be a short summary. Is it going to show us? Sorry about that. You only need to watch only summarize the 3 videos. That's what I thought. Just what you learned from it, what you took away from it, because they're all very good, experts in their own regard. Let's see here. Get out of this. Of course, it shows up, right at that last second there. So you can look at this other stuff too. I think it's really interesting. There is a quiz this week. It's based off of the lecture videos. Okay? So back to getting some quizzes, back to other content. So for this week, let's take a look at the assignment. So here it is. And I had to go through, the reason a lot of the work is already done is because I wanted to reformat these table headers so that they better represent what we did. So I've got 3 of them here. You reuse the top 2 for when you're doing the comparison with overall and site data, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then this is the big table here. This is the final table. This is the one in which we are forecasting how many claims are going to lose in 2024, what the loss is, what we're going to set the return on investment at 25%. But you could, I set it up so that you could change that if you wanted to, if you want to use this in the future. What that then means for a requested investment, and then identifying the outliers that are not included in the forecasting because we were conservative. So post those 5 tables here. Then what I want you to do, and I'll show you what I did. I think it's a good way to do it, is that I created a new tab in which I brought over all the pertinent results in order to answer the initial 4 questions for this whole project. I wonder if you guys remember what those were. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine what the findings are. So I'm going to create sort of an outline. I'm going to talk about it, but you guys are going to create an outline or a paragraph or a table that really establishes what are going to be the recommendations to management. Okay? One thing you do not have to submit anything for, but it's meant to help you for next week's submission of the final Excel document, is to go through and try to check all these things off. But you don't have to do that in what you submit. I just want to see the 5 tables and then what your final plans are. Okay? All right. So let's get to... So here's what I did. So the red down here, this is the Madison stuff. Decided not to use repetitive motion for a priority to submit because there's so many 0 years. Similar for the slip, trip, and fall at Madison, too many 0 years. It just didn't make sense. Now, even though we had a couple 0 years here or there for the other 2, a little bit more there, but there's a little bit meat left on the bone there. So I only used, for Madison, I only used cut, puncture, scrape, manual material handling, and struck by and against. Those were what I decided to use. Okay? All right, so the final results. So what you want to do is copy and special picture paste with a link these tables to the final page. Now you'll see here I've got the headers for what we saw on the page. I'll bring it back up for you. So you should be able to copy and paste each of these headers. So here's the first one. This is annual averages. Then we've got the forecasted loss, and then the final one. So what does that look like? I've got the annual averages, I've got the forecasted loss, and then the final recommendations. Then below these, this is the comparison, which I'll go over in a moment. The comparison of the numbers between what our priorities are based on the forecasted losses and what the company and site forecasted losses are. Because remember, we did that. We filled those out too. Okay, so first, you should be able to copy and paste over these headers to the table. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from Poinette and 3 from Madison for a total of 9. We've got 9 priorities. Down here, I've got the 3 company-wides. I've got the overall estimated loss. I've got the company-wide 9 priorities estimated loss. And then I've got the comparison of what those priorities represented as far as overall. And I did that both with the calculations we did with the figures and the calculations of the annual averages, policy or annual averages. So I did the company-wide. So it's the priorities versus company-wide. It's the just the site Poinette overall. And that is versus the company-wide, and then the Poinette priorities, which was there's 6 of them, versus just their site. And I did the same thing with Madison. So we can see what our 6 priorities were sort of overall. I think that's kind of interesting. First, how do we get this stuff here? Very, very easy, you guys. So I'll just take one that I didn't use, and I can just delete it. So do not use too many zeros. Yes, okay. So just highlight this. You don't need to put that in there. Hit copy, go here, just pick a cell and right click, and then you see the paste special. I click on that, and what I want is the picture with a link, so linked picture. The reason I did that is if there's something I had to change, and I did have to change some things, it brought it with. So you see? And then because it's a picture, I can shrink it and do stuff like that. It doesn't change anything. If I was to go back, so here's this. If I was to say not to be used, if I went back over here, estimate loss, what if I was to put this? So if I copy that and put that in here, burp, and then wrap the text and centered it. If I went back to my final results, see, it added it. See, isn't that kind of cool? So again, it's copy, paste, and then the paste is a special. Here, I'll do it with one more. So I'll copy this. So I just copied it, Control C to copy. Go to final results, just pick a cell and right click, and then go to paste special and special with a link to picture. There it is. And then, so it just bounces around, and then you can change the size so it fits better. Yeah, so that's what I did. Okay, so I'm going to delete these 2. And I can just delete it. It's not a big deal. So what you do is bring over, and you'll see here I've got the Poinette priorities here. This is Madison overall. I have the Poinette overall. I mean, you're going to bring over everything here. So I've got so here's forecasted losses. So this is, that's Poinette, sorry. That's it, overall Poinette. Here's this Poinette. Where's the overall company-wide? Here's Madison. Here's company-wide. Okay. So you just bring these over. See, it's a picture, so you can move it around. You can make it bigger, whatever. And I did just a pure copy. So these are not pretty, but they're not meant to be. But I've got I got it highlighted what I'd want to use. So then what you do is you go and enter in the data. So let me give you an example. Poinette manual material handling is right here. Okay, I guess what I could do is I could no, can you see this? Not sure if you can, but no, you can't, can you? I'm gonna have to reduce this a little bit so I can put it in. So remember these are the tables. So for Poinette 3076 manual material handling, which is right here, it's 6 and 6. So I've got 6 here, 6 here. It's 64,000 and change and 23,009 and change. 64,000, 23,900. Outliers removed. 4 of them for 202. That's it. That's for the table. For the figure, which is this one, I've got 10 and 10, 10 and 10, 50 and 70,000, 50 and 70,000. I put in the R square value for the outliers removed trend, which was 0.7892. 0.7892. Again, this is outliers removed. This is outliers included. Did you see that? So I have two of those. I've got two, and then I got 4 columns for the outliers removed. And then the slope of the line was 10,410. That's the trend, and so I put that there. So that's all I needed from. And then what I did is I highlighted in green what I'm going to use for the forecasted loss, because that's what I put over here. Okay? That was that one. So I copied and pasted that over. I put in the information. This is company-wide. I'm only using this down below because the top is the priorities. So I've got, for my table, 4340. Right here, I've got 4340. I've got 340,000. I've got 340,000. I've got 118,000. I got 118,000. I've got 19 outliers removed for 1.3 million. So I put that in. I'm using and then over here, this is the figure. So I've got the 62, there's 62. I've got 60, there's 60. 495,000, here's 495,000. Got 225,000, I got 225,000. I've got the R square value, and I've got the slope of the line. So that's what I'm using that for. So I've got company-wide. With the 9 priorities, all I did was just add it up. See, I did the sum of these. And then I was able to click and drag those over. And then for the percent, I guess I'll kind of zoom that in a little bit. And we can kind of talk about it too. It's just basically the sum from the 9 priorities over the total. Again, that's the forecasted, that's the annual average. So we've got 22 annual average, or policy year annual average, for the 9 priorities, which are representing 52 or 51.2% of what it would have been if it was company-wide. And then for Pointet, it was 30. For just our 6 priorities under Pointet, it was 17, which represents about 56.7% of what's going to happen at Pointet. And the Pointet is about 70% of the company-wide. So that's annual averages. For the forecasted, it's a little bit different. Not much. It's not too different. It's actually somewhat similar as I'm looking back and forth. Nothing's really freaking me out or anything. Okay. And it's just to show the proportion that from a company perspective, what the priorities are, from the site versus overall, each site overall. And here's the thing too, these numbers, how much each of these priorities, so we've got 9 of them, right? How many combinations could we possibly have? Let's just figure that out quick. So for site, there are 2 possibilities. For class code, how many possibilities for class code? Do you guys remember? If I was to go to my conclusions page, which I will show you guys in a little bit, how many did we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We had 11. We had 11 class codes. How many causes did we have? Because it's the combination of them. Let me just go back here. I'll explain this page in a second. How many causes did we have? That's detailed cause. How many wait a minute. Class code, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 and 11. Sorry, everybody. So it is 11 of these and 6 of these. Then you multiply all these together to get the different combinations. So this is equal to 2 times 6 times 11. How many combinations? 132. What is 9 of 132? Because we got 9 priorities here. 9 divided by 132. So of the combinations, where we have just under 7% represented here. So 6.8% of the site, class code, cause combinations represent these percentages. You guys, do you see that? Do you see that? The priorities here, if we were to just do Pointet, then it would be 66. So how many Pointets do we have? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they are equal to we've got 6 priorities from a place. We got to basically remove the 2 because it's just one site. They have the same number of class codes, same number of cause. I'm going to assume that that's 66, which is 10%. 9%, sorry. That's 9% for Poinet. How about for Madison? Well, yeah, it would be divided by 66, but we only have 3 of them. So we have a very small percent of the areas we're asking to focus on represent a considerable representation of what's there. I mean, the Madison overall is a smaller percent, but just within Madison, the percentages are, it's 40s. The total paid is 79 there. What's the total paid over here? Because we're using this primarily, but what is it over here? It's still pretty good numbers. Outliers included, outliers removed. Yeah, kind of interesting. Okay. What percent of the outliers? Only 59% of the costs of the outliers, but 68% of the actual outliers are being represented. So that's what this is. I hope in your brain you can kind of, it's just an interesting thing that you might throw in at the end just to show how accurate are we? How close are we to, is that the proper term? Or is it representative? Is this really a valuable, gosh, this is a mess now. I had this all nice. Grr. Okay, that's all it is. It's just to show, we did all this work to narrow down to 9 priorities. What do they really represent? And that's what these things are meant to do. But the main table is this one. This is the money, that's a bad term. This is the home run hitter right here. Probably shouldn't have put that there. Priorities, because I have the table down below. Not a big deal. I don't think I've really gotten to the point where I've fixed it yet. So here's what we have. The site, the class code, and the cause. So these are our priorities, right? This is the forecasted loss. And we had determined that last week. Only Poinet 3076 manual material handling, we were able to use the estimates using the figure. And that was because we had a high p-value. Other than that, the p-values kind of weren't good. For the that was good, but remember we had some zeros in there, and so I didn't feel like we could use 17.5, so we went conservative. So we used all these, and I kept them shaded so I could just copy and paste it right over. That made it super easy to fill out all of this. All this was filled out. I put in a 25% return on investment. 0.25 and 25% are the same things, you guys. I'll put in a percentage just to make everybody happy. Okay. And then for requested investment, I put an equation in. Okay, let me explain the equation really quick. I'm going to save my work. So ROI, or return on investment, the equation for it is, it's a difference of, you put the higher in, so it's going to be the, it would be the estimated gain is what the ROI really is. So it's gain or return minus investment divided by investment. Okay, that's what ROI is. For our work, do that and do that. I can't do it that way. Sorry. For our work, ROI, return on investment, is equal to the forecasted loss, because that's what we're going to gain, okay? Is that if we make corrections, those things don't happen, that's a gain, minus the requested investment divided by investment, divided by requested investment. Okay? So that's the way we're going to use the ROI. Now, in the real world, you'd be able to calculate the forecasted loss like we just did, and you'd be able to determine how much you would like to invest, how much it would cost to come up with a remediation. So you'd go and do the work already. And then you'd be able to, or you'd go do the homework, I should say, to estimate how much it would cost to purchase which you're recommending. And then you'd calculate the ROI. So you'd already have the calculations you did here. You'd minus what you what it would take divided by what it would take. So then you'd report this. That in the real world, you'd report this to management as sort of support for invest it. Look, you'll get it back in a year. But in our case, we don't have that. And so for our case, I'm putting in 25% so that now what we need to do is we need to solve for requested investment. And that's the equation that I put in here. And so how do we do that? So let's do a little algebra here. So if we were to multiply each side by requested investment, we'd have ROI times requested investment is equal to, and it would cancel out on the bottom, just equal to forecasted loss minus requested investment. Okay? So then let's add ROI to both. Actually, we're solving for requested investment. That's what we're solving for. Sorry. So we're going to add it to both. So RI plus ROI times RI is equal to, oh, why did it, let me do that before. It's just basic algebra. I used to have you guys figure it out. Is equal to forecasted loss. So you got to do algebra is you do the same thing to each side, but then it doesn't really change anything. So I added ROI, added ROI over here. Now what I'm going to do is factor out RI, requested investment, times 1 plus ROI equal FL. Okay, I don't know why that ended up being huge, but okay. Okay, so I just factored out the requested investment. Hopefully this is making sense to you guys. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by R1 plus ROI. So now I've got my, what I wanted to isolate, which is requested investment, is equal to forecasted loss divided by 1 plus ROI. So that's the equation I used. So for requested investment, it's equal to, click on Z, divided by 1 plus, click on this, AA5, okay? And then it gave me the number. Then I just clicked and dragged it down. So it calculated individually here, and then I added it up. So here, this is all added up. This is all added up. This you leave it as is. And then here, I actually just recalculated it overall. And then you just make sure that you enter in all the outlier amounts, which is on that table over there. Whoop. All that stuff. It's all right here. And then I've got the totals at the bottom. Okay? So that's how we fill that out. Save my work. These need to be made pretty, of course, and you can do that in Word. But for my work here, so here's something that I've been working on. And so in order to answer question 2, I wanted to create a tab in which it answers the objectives of the study, assess the quality of the data set, determine the performance of the safety program, identify priorities for in-depth study and improvement, and finally request money with projected ROI. Just a quick, thing here that we're asking for the money to go and study the work, to talk to the workers, to talk to the supervisors, to perform more of a systems analysis versus what we've done so far, because obviously everything we've done so far isn't working. So we need to do something different, and that different approach is the systems approach. To try to find the actual root causes and to try and design things out or change the way the work is done or how the workers interact with the work to try to reduce it. And since we're very conservative and we're asking for a certain amount of money, we don't have to eliminate them 100%, but we should be able to reduce them and reduce the cost, which is what we're ultimately promising in your ROI. Okay, so as far as assessing the quality of data, I've got all the stuff here that I turned in over in the first week and part of the second week, and then what you had put into your assignment, you can copy and paste into a text box. And so how do you do that? Well, if you go insert, there's text box right here. Click on that, click on a cell, paste it. It's going to make it all one line, and then just use the corners of it to bring it in. And it wraps automatically. So that's the answer to the quality of the data. It's not good or bad. This is what it is, the descriptive. Performance of the safety program, same thing. You guys comment on that. There's an opportunity to improve. I've got with and without outliers, and then I have this. This is the estimated loss. And I've got all the table and figure numbers lined up so I can get all that correct too. And then the in-depth study of where to focus. I've got all my original tables along with Pareto analyses. And then over here, I've got these. So actually broken down by Poinet and broken down by Madison. Oh, where did it go? There's Madison. Okay, so that's what we kind of just looked at. But I did bring everything over. What I was also checking for is making sure that everything has a title and laid out. Now, these don't look pretty. Remember, we were making them look pretty when we put it in Word. I didn't do that for this because this is me just kind of trying to put things together. Now, the last part is the requested investment. What I did to make things easy is oh great, now I got to make this look good. Because next week is your final PowerPoint, or I'm sorry, the Excel is due and so is your PowerPoint. And so you're going to want to try and make this stuff look really pretty. And that's going to require that you go through and do this work anyway. So I'm kind of putting it all together. So I brought this over here. What I learned is I can't highlight the top row because it screws it up. And you see here I've got my numbering here too. I called it 11, 11, 1, 12, 12, 1, and 13 is my final. Yours doesn't have to match that, but that's what I ended up with. Depends if you're following what I do. Because a couple people had emailed. So here's how you make them look pretty in Excel. So I'm going to highlight this. Oh, nope. Just highlight this part here. So not the title, not the top. As long as you're on the Home tab, you can go to Format as a Table. I've been kind of digging the purple, and so hit Return. Now, right away, it puts it into a sorting filter. And so go right away before you do anything, go to Data and hit Filter to get rid of it. And then we need to highlight the rows and just narrow them into something that's acceptable. Ooh, I think I have to make it a little bit wider. I just noticed something. It's got this. Why does it say paid 3? I don't know. Now it says paid 2. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on here. Why is it doing this? I wonder if I did that, it would let me do it. Okay, so I think it's because we have 2 versions of it that if we just use an abbreviation, it shouldn't care. Glad I noticed that. I don't really care. Whatever. Anything else here making me mad? Yeah, why doesn't it do it here then? Estimated 2024 total paid. It's the same thing. So try to make it so it's 2 lines. Whatever. Okay. So there's that. Let's do it down here too. What a pain. It doesn't. Should be fixed for like a final report, but what am I doing? Table to there. Okay. Go to data, get rid of the filter so it's not messed up. I should have done these at the same time. So do both and then do this. Okay? Save you a little bit of time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I've got the table titles here, and I got my final one here. Now this might get kind of screwy, so I'm not going to do anything with that. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to give this a different color because we got purple, purple, purple. What do I want? I would say go green, color of money. See what happens. Okay, and data filter off. And now I just have to do this. Not bad. I'm going to widen these just a touch to try to get it. No, I'm not. Control Z to put that back. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm going to turn this back into a %. Is there anything else that's screwy here? I'm going to get rid of the decimal points. There we go. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad. Final results totals. That's ultimately going to be our recommendation right there, you guys. Okay, hit save. So now let's bring these pretty tables. You see, I didn't do it in the final results. I left that as is. I did it in a new tab just because I'm showing you how you can manipulate it in Excel. So for the final conclusions, I have everything else up here. I just need to bring over the final 5 tables. So I'll go ahead and do I'm copying everything plus the title and hitting copy. And then coming over here, just picking a cell, and then I'm actually doing full picture. See? I did that because if I didn't, then it'll change the width of like columns and stuff like that. And this way, it is what it is. I don't like that it made that cut off though. Don't like that at all. But there's nothing I can do about it. Okay, so that's my table 11. Let's get my 11A below it. Oh, I was going to hit just straight up paste. I want to do a picture. There we go. Okay. See, you can kind of move stuff around a little bit. Let's get the last ones over. We can highlight everything, copy, picture paste, and we got 2 more to go. And I like too that I can see all of the numbering to make sure it's all correct. I can double check stuff before the final. And the last one is right here. I gotta go a little bit further, copy, and so the big one, the big ask, boom. So this is the most important table. This is what we've been trying to build this entire time. We have per site, per class code, per cause, what we want to focus on. We're saying that these 9 things next year will conservatively cost the company about $126,000. We're asking for about $100,000 to invest into root cause analysis, getting to know the workers, redesigning the work. We're saying it'll cost this much. We should be able to provide a minimum 25% return on the investment because, oh, by the way, this doesn't include $788,000 not included in these estimates. That's what we've been working for. This is what we've been working to. We've got actual in-house numbers that are conservatively estimated over time in order to figure out where we should focus. And how much do these represent? Well, we can go right down to these tables here to show that we definitely have a representation, a good representation of why these are priorities without really even looking. And we already kind of looked at the outliers, didn't we? And they tend to be everyday things. Madison's a little bit different. Madison had some uniqueness to it. But also Madison didn't represent as much. So Poinet is really going to be the focus because the Poinet totals are a lot higher than our Madison totals. And our Poinet asks are a lot higher than our Madison asks. You know? So, save work. So this is my final thing. So now what I need you guys to do, I mean, one is to go through and make sure you clean these things up. I'd like to have it so that as you go from tab to tab, that these things are pretty much centered all the same. You see that? Because if you do it, if you center like that and hit save, then when you open it up and click on that tab, it'll stay the same way. And you can do some coloring, some organizing, things like that. Next week is when you'll be submitting the Excel. So you've got time. But if you want to start working on that, getting together your conclusion, you don't have to do this. This is just my way. This is how I like to do things. I like to see things all together and put all my responses together. So requested investment, it's this table right here. What are we going to do with it? We're going to use the money to, first of all, engage workers, engage supervisors, find out what's really going on from their perspective. We need to make functional changes to the work that actually controls the root cause analysis. So we got to figure out what the root causes are of these things. And hopefully we can redesign things within this budget right here. Because if so, then in the next year, we should be able to see a return. We should see a reduction at minimum of claims of $120,000, which if we look at the overall, what we're estimating, let's see, was this number good? It was estimated with the outliers included would be 500,000. So we're looking at about a quarter improvement. Yeah, that's about right. Cool. All right, that's everything for this week, you guys. You only need to, for the assignment, copy and paste. Let's say these because they look pretty. These 5 tables, and then put together a basic plan. You don't have to do all this. I did this, but I want you guys to put together a basic plan of what you're going to recommend to management. I told you what we're going to use the money for, but see what you can do. We can't recommend training because we haven't talked to a single person. We can't recommend lifting devices because we haven't tested it. We got to go study the work. And you can look back at some of the earlier lectures because that's what I had established, is that it's engaging the workers and understanding it from their perspective. The idea of safety is making the workers successful in their work, as safe as possible with illicit satisfaction. That's what we're trying to do. And I believe, so again, here's everything, the main stuff. I got to confirm my numbers and everything. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm really, really happy with this final table. This is the big deal. If you got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, it's just, again, these 5 tables, kind of figure out a plan. That's what you have to report for this, and then watch the 3 videos and summarize them. All right, thanks, everybody.